everybody, it is Sully and welcome back to Project Neeli. This is the final walkthrough video as we are getting this in the water, getting everything dialed in and getting this all ready to go to be handed over to the captain and the owner. I think this is probably the largest refit and most advanced refit we have done to date here at Navtronics. You've seen some of the previous videos when this thing was in the shed getting all the stuff done. But if you missed it and you don't want to go back and watch those, we got you covered, guys. We're going to talk about this one from bow to stern, top to bottom, outside in, all that good stuff. So look behind me here, guys. Here she is in all her glory, the MJM 50. I believe this is a 2021 you're seeing here. And now, guys, let's start off with one of the first, I think, somebody can correct me down below in the comments, but I think this is the first retrofit for Garmin's surround view camera system. We're going to go in a little bit deeper about what that is once we get inside the boat here, guys, but I did want to show you what all it is. So as we kind of splice and dice this thing all up here, you're going to see right down there, that camera right there in the stem head, that's me looking back at it, waving at it, is right there. That is our bow on shot of the boat that we can stitch in along with 5 other cameras. So as we make our way back, you're going to see another camera right there. And that guy, wave down at that one, kind of see that that's giving us this nice long view of the dock right here. And then we continue to make our way down the side. And you see I'm going to stitch from one screen to the next in the camera here. And that's because we also have another camera. Let's wave for the camera right there. That is us looking at us right there. So we've got that. So now those cameras are matching on either side of the boat to allow for that bird's eye surround view. And then we make our way to the back here. And now we have another camera back here for our transom. Now that camera, that is not part of the surround view. We're going to go over that in a minute. But that is just one of the many cameras. I think 13 all in for cameras on board this boat. So now that we kind of talked about the outside, I've given you the quick 5-cent tour on the outside. Let's hop up onto the hardtop and show you guys everything that is good up there. All right, guys, so starting off from the top and working our way down on this one, you are watching me via the M300 FLIR camera. That is our ever popular, always favorite, daylight, low light viewable camera. So we've got that going on there. Then as we hop over to this view here, guys, we can work our way back here and tell you guys a little bit else what we have going on here. You can see we have a pair of the digital 8-foot VHF antennas. We have one of those dialed in for the AIS and one for VHF. And then you can see here we have our Sirius XM radio. We've got our 24XD GPS antenna, our MSC10 sat compass, our Volvo sat compass, our Garmin 24XD like we talked about, and then there is our FLIR M300. Then on this custom Sea-View mast, we modified it. We talked about this in a previous video with you guys. We were concerned about bridge height with this, so going with the 2-tiered mast as per normal, that's going to sit us up a little too high, and we had concerns about bridge clearance. So we had this one custom made. We lowered that FLIR camera down just a little bit, basically on top of that 24 radar, phantom radar right there, and that gives us nice clearance. And then you'll see there is a custom box right there. So in that custom box we fabricated in-house, that is the last of our surround view cameras. So we have our surround view from overhead here. Now you're taking a look at the surround view, and why do we do it up here? Well, we've got this Dodger back here, or this Bimini top back here, but this is also set up to have a dinghy back there. So if you're running a dinghy on your boat, as is very common to do in New England, that camera becomes more or less useless. So it's kind of a either or scenario. So that's why we ended up with that camera up there. But we have that functionality. If we're not carrying our dinghy, we still have that transom camera back there as well to work for us. So then let's see, what do we have? On top of that box, we do have the Airmar weather station right there. You can see that one. And then you see a pair of GPS antennas. That is going to be for our AIS 800. It needs its own dedicated GPS antenna. And then we have a backup GPS antenna as well right there to kind of balance things out. And then you can see, can't do it install anymore without doing Starlink. So we've got a flat high performance Starlink right there. And then let's talk about this here, guys. This right here, we have a pair of the Xantrex solar panels. Now these are the big boys. These are the 330 watts a piece. So we've got 2 of those. So we're putting out roughly 60 amps of power into the lithium battery bank on here. So because this boat lives on a mooring, we want to make sure we're keeping these batteries charged up and giving ourselves the best chance for success. So we've got that, and then you can see right in front of it there, we always use scan strut for all of our deck glands, things like that. So we've got that set up right there. Same thing goes for our VHF antennas. You can see right there as well, we have those scan struts. So that's kind of everything on the hardtop. And we've talked about it when I was doing the rounds as far as having that 360 camera and having that bird's eye view. So now I'm going to take you guys inside and we're going to show you some more of the cameras and some more of the systems that we have built into this system on this incredible refit, guys. Let's go down below and check it out. All right, so now that we are in the aft cockpit deck space area, and let's talk about some of the modifications and changes that we made here. You look over my head, you can actually see the white lights right there. We've gone ahead and swapped out every light on this boat with Lumishore. These are the down lights right here. We have a pair of them. They're color tunable. They're part of the Lux line. That means we have warm white, we have cool white, and we have every color under the rainbow. We can blend and we can really dial this in to set the scene for whatever it is that you want. And then this boat also had a JL package into it, but we've gone ahead and we've upgraded it. You've got a JL M6 10-inch sub there, and then you've got a pair of the JL M6 7.7s. So those are all set up. Now, that's not necessarily the best spot for audio quality, putting them under a seat, but with the MVI amps that we have installed on here, and with the team from JL coming down to help us tune it, we've really dialed this in. Now, unfortunately, due to trademark laws and all that kind of stuff, and you're probably watching this on an iPhone or maybe a tablet, you're not going to appreciate the sound quality, so you got to take me for my word or come get a stereo install yourself. But I promise you guys, this is absolutely amazing sound quality. You can hear the sound spectrum all the way across the board, making sure everything is timed perfectly. It just sounds amazing wherever you are on board the boat. It is just a phenomenal sound. So we have that going on. And then you take a look around here, guys. This is a very nice entertaining area, but we've got our engine hatch here and an engine hatch here. So if you are entertaining, but you want to keep tabs on what's going on in the engine space, you're gonna have to ask people to move. And that's just not cool. We're on the boat, you're supposed to be having a good time. So we went ahead and we installed 4 of the Garmin GC200 IP cameras. Now those are daylight and low light viewable. They're amazing for applications like engine rooms. So if you don't have the lights on and you're running and you want to see what's going on, you can pop those right up. So with these 4 cameras, you can see here with the engine room lights on, we kind of have them at each corner of the engine space on this triple engine setup here. So we can look from our port side over to our starboard side, looking across the front of the motor, see the generator, see all those kind of things, keeping tabs on it. And then also conversely on the starboard side, we can look back across on the port side and we can also see what is happening across the front of that motor. We didn't leave the back out where those 3 pods are, keeping track of exhaust hoses, things like that. We have cameras in both corners there as well, looking across at each other to make sure we have situational awareness. So if you're keeping tabs, that's 6 cameras for the surround view. The 7th camera is on the transom back there. And then we have 4 cameras down here, so that brings us up to 11. And then we've got our M300 up there, so that brings us to 12 cameras so far on board the boat. So we've got a lot of cameras going on with everything else that's happening on board this boat. Now, we're going to go into the mid area here, and we're going to go hop down into, I'm calling it kind of the seakeeper space or the machinery space, and we're going to talk about what we have going on down there. So welcome to the machinery space, or you want to call it the seakeeper space, or the network space, unassigned space, whatever you want to call it. We're down in here, and you can see right behind me over my shoulder as we cut in there, we have our 13th camera. That is another GC200 daylight, low light viewable camera, and that gives us a great view of this space. Again, with the air conditioning and the seakeeper, as well as a lot of network things we're going to show you here. So being able to keep tabs on those things very easily by just pulling them up on the MFD and looking at them without having to open a single hatch, I think, personally, is a really great way to go. Now, we have all of these cameras. We have EmpirBus. We have, you know, a lot of other cool, Lumishore. We got the Seakeeper tied in. We got a lot of cool stuff going on this thing, which means we are fully utilizing the Garmin BlueNet network. That is their latest network. That allows us to run basically at a faster speed, a gig switch, if you will. We're able to pass data back and forth a heck of a lot quicker. So we did that, and that is what's going on right here, guys. We have all of our network switches. We ran everything to a central location on this install to make everything easier when you have to go back and troubleshoot it or do anything. Everything is right here, and everything is very nicely labeled, so you can look on here, quick glance, and you can see what is happening, what's going on, and we can also look in here and say, hey, you know, like our on deck isn't blinking right now. We know our on deck hub is not online, and we see it in green. That means that is going slower versus the blue, which is going faster. We can look at everything and get a real quick system status update. And you can see up here we even have our gateway. That is taking the old Garmin Marine network and bringing it over. Now you can only have one of these per BlueNet system, but we've got that in there, and that is because we have a Garmin Volvo Penta 8612 in the mix as well on this. So we need to bring that over to the BlueNet. You're going to need a gateway to do that. Look over here, we're still getting this thing all dialed in here, guys. That's why I see a little bit of blue tape, because we're changing some things around. But these are all of our AC circuits that are being handled by the EmpirBus system. So on this EmpirBus system, we have AC and DC switching, and that's handling that right there. Take a look below it here. You can start to see some of the other things. Again, everything nicely labeled. We have 24-hour unswitched right there, and everything's nicely labeled. We have our helm electronics. Everything's labeled easily. So you pop this cover off. Even if you lose this cover, you're still going to see what is going to each one of those things with that nice heat shrink wrap on there. And then as we go ahead, we're going to spin the camera around. You're going to see we have a Seakeeper 9 right here, and in front of that is the air conditioning. And then we can look over here with that Seakeeper. We went ahead and moved the display off the helm because it's now in the Garmin network. So now if you're working down in this space and have to do service on this Seakeeper, or if you're doing rounds and you're checking things, you can look right there and see everything that's going on with your Seakeeper. You're not having to go in and out of the space. Again, keeping an eye and mindfulness towards being able to service everything. And then, guys, this black box right here kind of looks like we're at the backside of an MFD. Well, that is our surround view, and those are all of our camera inputs. Again, everything just nicely labeled right there. And then you can see we have the separate networks. We have our 24-hour NEMA network. We have our Seakeeper CAN bus. And then we have our Garmin on deck right here, which we're going to be bringing online. So, got all that going on. This is also where we went ahead and mounted our transducers. This boat got a PS70 and a PS51, so right down there, you kind of see the plug for it, but you kind of sneak a peek right in there. You can see that is our forward scan transducer. Now, yes, this is pretty far back in the boat. It's probably more than halfway back, but it stays in the water column even when the boat's zipping along at 35 miles an hour, and it's still painting a picture. Now, granted, at 35, you're going to run over whatever it is you see, but it does work. And then to the port side of that, and slightly behind me, if I move out of the way here, you'll see the PS70 transducer. Now, that PS70 transducer, guys, is becoming incredibly popular, not just for fishing, but also for cruising. So we'll go into that a little bit more when I show you guys the MFDs and everything at the helm towards the end here. But now let's hop out of here and let's go up into the cabin and let's show you guys more of the guts of the situation that this team has been doing on here. So let's go check it out. So now we are down in the, I guess we call it the galley salon area here. And again, you can start to see all these lights in the overhead. These have all been swapped over, just like everything else, to the Lumishore lighting. But what we've done here, guys, with that is we still have all of our tactical switches. So if I hit this tactical switch, that's going to turn that off. I turn it on, I press and hold, it's going to go ahead and dim down those lights right there. And I can turn it on and off, and it will stay at that dim setting right there. So we still have all of the features throughout the boat. We don't have to have our MFD on or any other electronics on for all of our lighting to work. And we have the ability to dim it down. And we have the ability to do color tunability and all of that stuff. So we have all of these lights all the way throughout this boat, all done up. See right here, kind of an overview of just what's involved with the Victron system on here. And yes, we have 4 8D batteries right here. Each one of those guys right there is 300 amp hours. So again, quick math, that's what, 1200 amp hours of lithium power for the house being charged by that solar bank that's putting in about 60 amps at full sun, and everything's all good there. We're gonna show you that in a second here as to how we can read all that. But let's take a peek over here, guys. You can see this panel right here. This actually goes up into there. We've got it out so we can kind of show you everything. This little blinking discotheque, guys, this is all of the Lumishore zones that we have on board this boat. Into the eagle eye right there, you're gonna say, hey, Sully, one of those is not like the other. That's this guy right here. That is the N2K integrator. That brings the Lumishore lighting and their 4 wires for their scenes into NEMA that we can then use via the EmpirBus. Don't go looking on their website for it. It's not something you can go buy off the shelf. But if you're doing OEM builds, you want to look into that with the Lumishore and having the zones and setting scenes. That's a really great way to go about doing this. You can see here we're still setting a couple of things up, but again, everything is nicely labeled for where it is and what it is doing. Even the Lumishore we have right here, that's 24-hour power. So even when we turn this boat off, we still want to be able to turn lights on and off when we get on board the boat before we turn the main battery switch on. So we have that set up there like that. And then we look over here, now you can start to see all of our EmpirBus modules right here. And each one of those has their own separate dedicated breaker. So we've run everything off the house per ABYC, nice battery protection and everything else. And you can see we've got all of our breakers. This one's 100 amp because this is a bigger load right here. We can come in even on these and see what is happening, what circuits are on, and all of that. You can see we even have our NEMA diagnostic port right there. You want to plug something in, come in here and see what's happening. We've left an open port and cable. And then you can see we've got our DIN rail right here, and everything is nicely labeled as far as in and out, so we can come in here and set everything all up. Now we are in the home stretches of neatening up all the wire. You can see we've got it here, down here. Still got a little bit to go, but you can see right there, there is the MVI 8-channel amp, and then we've got more EmpirBus CAN bus, and then we've got our white box stereo kind of tucked in there. And again, we're going to clean this all up because there is an amp also buried down in there deeper. Same goes for over here. We've got our AIS 800 and VHF 315. So we're getting all of those things all buttoned up and tidied up. You can see up here the back side of our 9219 Volvo displays right here. And again, just keeping everything nicely labeled, easy to read, easy to get at as well. So that's everything going on there. Now, let's show you everything that's going on up at the helm, and let's walk you through everything on this one helm system and everything on this BlueNet network. because guys, there is a lot going on. So without further ado, let's hop up there and check it out. Now guys, we're getting to I think the best part of this entire build, and that is the helm right here. So before this boat started, we got our hands on it. This was a Ray Marine boat with a Volvo Penta display. It had a single little 7-inch Volvo display. Now we've gone ahead and we've retrofitted in 3 of the Volvo Penta Garmin displays. Starting off on our port side over here at our navigator station, we have an 8612 display right here. Now all of these displays are going to share all of the exact same information. So it's all networked in nice and neat right there. And then we worked with the team at Boston Marine Services, and this helm is completely different, guys. This helm used to have a wedge right here that kind of kicked up. That means we couldn't put a 19-inch display right there. This originally, I think, had a 16 and a pair of 12s, so it was kind of a 3-display setup right there. It wasn't ideal. And we wanted to make sure we could run the BlueNet, and we also wanted to have the best displays possible. So we did a pair of the Volvo Penta Garmin 9219 displays right here, and then we did the TD50 as well. You're gonna have to pardon the blue tape. We're in the process of getting the new switch panel all laser etched. We want to make sure we were getting those exactly what we wanted. But we have a pair of the SP8 switches. So we have quick tactical switches on our EmpirBus. We have our Volvo joystick. We obviously have our spotlight controls, our Humphrey. We kept our wiper controls because they're very easy to use, so why not keep those? And then we have our Fusion head unit right there, remote to control the white box stereo. So that is what we're looking at there. It turned out beautifully, guys. We've got a ton of data, and now let's delve in and show you guys everything that is possible with the Volvo Penta Garmin 9200 series MFDs. So now let's dig into the nuts and bolts and show you guys, now that we've done the whole walk around, we've shown you all the goodies, let's show you what this thing is capable of. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop on in here. We're gonna show you what's going on. Now this is the standard chart screen. You're used to looking at it. It's got the 4 corners on it. Everything is all good there. But with that PS70 transducer, guys, I can come in here. We already went out and did the sea trial. You can kind of see our track lines right there. I can turn on the quick draw by telling it to display it. And now look, guys, I've gone ahead and I've run over this. And now this chart right here, even though it says 3 feet, you know, right there, through all of that, we can look in. We've actually got a lot more depth. But something to take note of with this, guys. This does not account for depths. If you're in Florida, not necessarily an issue. You're in New England, 10, 15 foot tidal swing, definitely an issue. So be mindful of when you are making your charts that you are doing it. Just be mindful of it. Are you doing it at low tide? Doing it at high tide? Make sure you know. But we can go ahead and pan out a little bit on this because I want to show you guys a couple of cool little things we found right here. As I zoom in right on this part right here, guys, you can see we really started to find some contours. So if I went in here and turned off those quick draw contours, you can see they're not there. But if I turn it back on, when I say display, now you can really start to see some things. And Rich was actually really great. We went out and we kind of ran a couple of circles and did some things, and we started to really find some things here in this harbor. So let's go ahead back out here. You can start to see as we kind of went back and forth over some certain areas. If you start crisscrossing these areas to get the grid, now you're really going to get a good view of what is underneath your boat in that area. And guys, you can save this. Let's just say your buddy has it and you don't. You can save this data to a card and put it into your own GPS chart plotter as long as it has the current software on it to run these quick draw contours. So it is really, really slick. If you're coming in and out of harbors, you're starting to run into some skinny water going into a couple of places and you went, well, gee, I made it in, but it was kind of sketchy. Well, that PS70, we get a really nice wide beam angle. It's a 120-degree beam angle. So here you can see right here as we cut this in, this is from earlier on in the sea trial when we went out and we were actually mapping the bottom. You can see how this is going and how much area, how wide of a swath we're covering. And what it's also worth mentioning here to you guys is notice that there's a green circle around the boat. Now, if you're going slower than 10 knots or 10 miles an hour, that stays green. We're getting a really nice picture. We're painting the bottom. Between 10 and 19, that's when that circle turns yellow. We're going faster. We're having less confidence in the data that we are getting. It's still very good data, but a little less confidence. And then once you get over 20, that circle goes to red. It's still painting a picture, but again, we're going so fast, we're not going to get a very good mapping on the bottom for accuracy. So just something to be mindful there, guys. But again, it does really awesome for you guys and all of that. So we've got that. We can stop panning there. We can come back into this chart here. You can see we also have our fishing chart here. So we've got all of that. So if you didn't have that Panoptic set up and you didn't have your own relief shading, you have that shading here. And again, we can come over and we've overlaid ours on top of that as well. And we have our relief shading that, again, we can put our Panoptics on. I'm just showing you guys this is across the board. We can do this without too much stress, grief, and aggravation. Now, 3D chart, fisheye 3D. If you're still using it, leave a comment down below. I'm really curious who's actually still wants this, but those are there. But because we're running the latest software, guys, I can do this. I can do a press and hold, and I can tell it to hide. And I can do the same thing for fisheye. I can hide it. So now they don't live there. They're not taking up space. I don't have to look at them. And then obviously we have radar overlay. We can turn the radar on. Now again, we're not moving right now, so we're really not going to get too much here. But this is the Phantom radar on here, guys. So we are able to go ahead and get target tracking, and targets change colors. If they're coming at us, if they're going to be a threat, doesn't mean they're going to hit us, going to be into our circle. They are red. Going away from us, they are green. If they're static, they are blue. There are different color palettes there that you can choose from. This is just one of them. So we have that option there as well. Go ahead, we'll turn off the radar, and then we can come over here. Sonar. We got a lot going on. And again, I'm gonna go ahead and slice this into the video from when we went out on the sea trial earlier, and you guys are going to see a couple of different variations of what we have. Now, we have our traditional sonar. Everybody's very familiar with it, but I found it's best to make a split screen, or in this case a three-way screen, and we can go ahead and have our traditional sonar. We can have our 3D historical, as well as we can do our live view, or we can do our forward scan, or we can show our chart. So we can go ahead and do whatever we need to do right there for that. So as we look at these different things, guys, I think it's really good to look at that 3D historical with the traditional. When you're doing that, it kind of is that aha moment, because everybody, I think, is fairly familiar with what the traditional is. But when you take it to that 3D historical, now you can kind of see what's under the boat. And those numbers across the top there, that's how far out it is looking. And then the color code on the side lets you know how deep in the column, if it's spotting a fish or something, or if the bottom changes, it's marking it down there as well. And we can have a quick color and you can look at it and see. So I was hoping to get off the dock today. Didn't happen, but we do have the footage from when we went out earlier. So you can kind of take a look at that as we splice it in here and show you a couple different variations of that. So while we're talking about that, obviously the next one up on the list is combos. Now with combos, that's kind of anything and everything under the sun locally. That means whatever you make for a combo on this screen doesn't go to the other three screens, whereas the next one is smart mode. That changes all the screens with one touch of a button. So with that combo mode, you can see we've got a bunch of different options set up here, and we've just kind of made them, haven't labeled them all. You know, if we go to all sonar, that's kind of that aha moment for a lot of people, but we're not moving. So again, doesn't really look like much for you guys. But we can start to do some things like combo number 7. That was that intro video there for you guys, where I have my surround view cameras, and I've chose each one of those independently. We're going to go into surround view here a little bit more in a second, but this is bringing those up independently, and I can change each of these cameras if I want to. If I want to go in here and I want to say source, and I want to make that one the bird's eye view, I go ahead and do that. And we close it down, and now I have my bird's eye view as well as my other camera views, and I can go ahead and change any of those views in there. Same thing again, if I go over to my other combo, we have what we saw before, which was the engine room cameras right there, as those are coming online as well. And then what else do we have here, guys? Smart mode, like we talked about, that, guys, you need to understand is global. If I set up a smart mode on any one of these screens, it is going to change everything all with one push of a button. So in our case, we have cruising. When we set up over here and we go to single lever throttle, that brings this up to our cruising screen. And if I go ahead on the joystick here and I hit docking, that's going to bring us up to our docking screen, and that is going to take care of all of our different camera views as well. So it's all set up on there. So at a push of a button, we're not really trying to fight with a bunch of different options or trying to set things up, because when you're docking, that's the last time you need to be trying to think about anything else other than getting the boat to the dock safely and with as little stress as possible. So that's combos and smart modes. Then we go over here to vessel. Guys, this is where all the fun really begins, and this is where this boat is set apart a lot different from all the others. Let's dig in. Let's go through this, guys, a little bit more as I kind of pan over here. You can see we have our autopilot. That's kind of standard. Our video, that's just going to be our single screen video. Here we are in our machinery, Seakeeper space. I can go over here and I can choose our M300 out there, bring that camera up, and I can pan and tilt it around. We got a nice little sunset happening over here in Salem, and I can go ahead and, you know, see the harbor and see everything that's going on around us. Very quick, very easily right there. And I can just go ahead and tell it to return home. There it goes, it's back to home. So we have all of our video options. Now guys, we talked about all of those cameras. If I go to sources, here's all the different camera options. And this is why setting up things ahead of time and some of those combos or smart modes is slick, because we have so many different options in different angles, in different views. We need to make this as simple as possible. And that's what we've done here with that. So then after the video, media is media. You guys know exactly what that is. That is the standard for controlling the fusion. We have all of our different zones on there and everything set up there. Now, Victron, guys, like we said, this has those big Xantrex 330 watt solar panels, a pair of them. So 660 watts, putting about, I don't know, 28 to 30 amps per panel max output on there. And we can look on here, we can see because this boat's plugged in, we're not really utilizing much of that solar, but at a quick glance, we can see what's going on with shore power, the solar, the AC loads, the DC loads, as well as the Orions for the start batteries as well. And we can look and we can see the state of our battery, how much charging we have, the state of the generator, all of those things are right there. And via the Victron system, we are also doing a generator auto start. So let's just say the boat's sitting on a mooring, the batteries are getting low, it realizes the batteries are getting low, it's not getting enough from the solar, it will go ahead and it will start the generator and bring the batteries up. And once the batteries are up, it'll go ahead and shut that generator off and go back to its resting state again. So we've got a lot of fail safes in there, but again, with those 4 300 amp hour lithium batteries, I don't think that's ever really going to be a problem. I think the only time you're really going to be running that generator on here is going to be for the HVAC and for the Seakeeper when you are underway. So we've got that going on right there. And then the other thing we have, let's see guys, what else do we have here? We have, oh yeah, Lumishore. So with Lumishore, remember I showed you guys down below all those different modules. Well, here are all of our different zones. So we can come in here independently via the Lumishore, and we can go ahead and change lights. I can go to the helm overhead and I can do warm white. I can do cool white. I can come in here and I can change colors, and you guys probably really can't even see it because I don't think that's happening. Oh yeah, it is happening above me. There we go. So it should be like that light right there, right? We can go ahead and we can change colors, and we can do all kinds of different things with it to make it be whatever we want. And we can do that for the entire boat. So you've got the Lumishore lighting controls right there. And then let's see, before we dig into the EmpirBus side, let's go show you guys the surround view. Now, when we started this, guys, I showed you guys I was kind of walking around. We were cutting the video back and forth between me holding the camera and showing you guys the camera. This is the stitched together bird's eye view, as well as the port bow camera and the port midship camera. And we can go in on the starboard side, or on the right-hand side of our display here. We see that little boat icon, and if I press on it, I now have the different quadrants, and I can look at different areas. Now I'm looking at the bow. That is, you know, if I'm going to go pick up a mooring, that's a really great camera to have. Or if I'm anchoring and I'm trying to see what's going on with the anchor, I can look at that real quick. And the same thing over here, I can go ahead and I can choose all of my different zones to see what is happening around me when I'm docking. So if I'm docking starboard side 2, I can go ahead and switch my cameras over to the starboard side. If I'm docking port side 2, I switch them over to my port side. So we have that functionality. And then we also have this bird's eye view, which is the overhead view, and we can see what's happening, how close the boat is getting to the dock. Called bird's eye view, drone's view, whatever you want to call it. It's a really great overhead view, and they're stitching all these cameras together. Now, if you remember when I first talked about this, guys, this boat does have a bimini top on it for the back there. So this back corner, this port corner, not necessarily, if I bring it up here, guys, not necessarily when that's up, not the best view for trying to dock. I'll be the first one to tell you that. That's why we added in that transom camera, so we get that nice wide view in the back if you're not carrying the dinghy. But you can see it still puts a really nice picture together and stitches it together really nicely for us. So we have all of that functionality right there. Just another way to dock the boat very easily and be able to see everything and take the stress away. And then last but not least, guys, EmpirBus. Now, we've done a lot of EmpirBuses and a lot of different builds. This is probably our largest one to date. Big thank you, guys, for 1 second to Doug Zern. He actually went ahead, not only did he give us a drawing for this boat, but then he also made it with the correct mast on here. So this isn't just a cookie cutter. This is the artwork for this boat as you see it right here, which is really cool. Just little touches like that that just go a long way. Now you guys can see right here, my fuel readings are all off. So if I go ahead and I turn on my ignitions right here, you're gonna see my fuel readings are actually gonna come back on. You also might hear a little bit of noise in the background, and the reason we didn't have those on initially is because the blower motors kick on when the ignitions are on. So there you go. Now you can see I have port and starboard fuel tank readings right there, as well as my house battery. And you can look and see I have my nav lights, my anchor lights. So if I turn those on, there we go. We've now turned on our nav and anchor lights, and you can see with the nav light, it automatically turns that on. I can turn that off. There they go. You'll just see a little graphical representation of those turning on and off for us right there. We have our windlass controls right there, so we can turn it on and turn it up and down. And then you're going to see another nice thing was the recommendation, the request rather, for this entire build: keep it clean, keep it simple, make it user-friendly. And that was really driven home, I think, on this EmpirBus system here. So for the windows, we don't want to give up space and have a bunch of space here for switches, because you have up and down for the windows, and you have 3 windows in the front that open and close. So that would be 6 buttons. Well, why give space for it? So instead, I can just come here to Windows, and now this is going to generate up, and I can just go ahead and press. I've got my window opening and window closing. Very easy. And then when I'm done, it goes away. Same thing for Seakeeper. I can turn my Seakeeper on and off. I don't have to go into my One Helm apps and do this. I can actually do that right here from my EmpirBus screen. And then I've got a couple other things to see down here, scene 1 and scene 2. Those are for the lighting scenes. If you're gonna go out at night, maybe you just wanna have the courtesy lights on, and you don't wanna kill your night vision. If you're entertaining, you can set those all up right there. We also have dock unattended, which kind of kills everything on the boat, minus the refrigeration. And because of the big battery bank and the big solar panels, we can handle that refrigeration without a problem. So you can just hit that button, walk away from the boat, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then obviously we have horn, and we have underway horn. That is once every 2 minutes, a prolonged blast of the horn. Because this is New England, it gets foggy. Just hit that, be done. You don't have to think about it. Every 2 minutes, that horn will go off for about 6 seconds. So that's built into the EmpirBus. Then we come into our lights. Now I showed you the other side of the lights, and that was the Lumishore. Now this is integrating with the NEMA 2000. So I can come in here, you can see on the right-hand side I have external lights, interior lights, and cabin and headlights. And I can come in here and I can go ahead and choose my lighting. I can choose what color I want. I can choose the brightness of it, all from right here. I don't have to go into that Lumishore page if I don't want to. We've got that there, and again, you can see I have the hatch lights on for back in the engine room, I have my nav and anchor, and I have my horn. Again, quick, easy access. Then we go over here to systems. Now here I can look and I can see what's my fresh water, what's my waste tank, port, starboard fuel. I can see all my batteries. I can check my status of everything, my battery switches, my fresh water pump, my raw water pump, and the water maker. Now, something to notice here, guys. Below water maker, it says auto off at 5%. Water maker says auto off at 97%. We have this set up so that if you are running this boat, again, lives on a mooring, the water starts running down. If it gets below 5%, we automatically turn the water pump off out of safety so you don't burn it out. Yes, you can manually override it and get that last 5% out with a long press on the button right there. But we have that built in. The other side of this is the water maker automatically turns on when it gets to 5%. And then will automatically turn off when it sees 97%. So we don't even have to monitor the water maker process. As long as everything's set up, queued up, and teed up, this thing is ready to make water so that you don't even have to think about it during the weekday. Maybe you used a lot of water while you're cruising. You don't even have to think about it. It's already all set up for you. Again, keeping it simple. And again, you'll notice we have windows and seatkeeper button, we have our windlass, and we have our salon and helm table, because there's a table behind me right here that I can raise and lower. So we've got the buttons and functionality for that as well. And then I come in here, and this is just going to give me my loads right here for AC and DC. So, guys, this has been a mouthful. This has been an amazing build, and I have to pause for a second and give a huge thank you to everybody involved in this. Whether it's Kurt and his team at Garmin, Tyson, the graphic engineers, everybody at Garmin making this happen for this side of it, our team here in Salem coming in. They've never even seen a surround view, and we stepped up and we knocked it out of the park and getting this thing all stitched together and dialed in. You know, Boston Marine did an amazing job on all the composites work on here as well. So a big thank you. This has just been an amazing build. So if you're thinking, you saw this and you're thinking about getting any of it, you want to add an M300, you want to add solar, maybe you want to do lighting, maybe you want to do EmpirBus, any of that stuff, hit us up, sales@navtronics.com. Love to talk to you guys, get you queued up for, I can't believe I'm saying this, 2026 boating season. So we have 6 locations now, basically between Belfast and Cape Cod. That's right, I am opening up the offices in Falmouth. I am coming back to the Cape. So if you guys are looking to get any marine technology done, hit us up, sales@Navtronics. If you stayed around this long for what has got to be, by the time I get done editing this, probably one of the longest videos I've ever done, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because you probably like the content, and we will see you guys again real soon. I think we've got our Southport build video, or maybe that'll come up before this, I don't know. We'll see how it all goes, but we've got the Project 1 of 1 getting done as well, and that's it, guys. I'm gonna go tweak on this boat some more and enjoy this beautiful sunset, and we will see you again with something real soon. Peace.